Good afternoon, everyone. As Kunga said, I'm a storyteller. I agreed to tell a story, and look where it's landed me, on the red spot and the black. I'm here today I do not bring you a big new idea. I don't bring you a big, brilliant, innovative idea. Actually, I've come here to talk about and maybe rediscover a small, simple idea that I think we have lost in the world in general, and maybe we are losing it in Bhutan. It's such a small idea that we don't give it enough importance, because we think there's so many ideas that we can take from everywhere, and in the bargain we are losing this small little idea, which I think might help us to, when happiness doesn't make us happy, maybe it will help us to make us happy. What's happened nowadays, I don't know in the rest of the world, but what's happening in Bhutan nowadays is that happiness has become very elastic. It's become very stretchable. At the same time, it's become very conditional. I could be happy if. I could be, maybe I can be happy if I have this, if I get my desires. And in the bargain, what happens is that we are consuming. We become like the rest of the world. We are part of the global village, I guess. We have become consumers. And this is quite obvious to people like myself, old people who've watched us change. We are consuming and consuming and consuming. And we have allowed ourselves to be buried with consumeristic materials. And we are pursuing happiness through materials. At the same time, what's happening to us is we are burying ourselves with material possessions. I need this, I want to have this, and the conditions that we are placing. And the threshold of happiness is getting higher and higher and higher, and we are just pursuing it and pursuing it, and everybody knows what happens when you don't have the things that you desire. But it's not the end of the world, I think. I think we still have hope. Although we are buried in layers of I want and I desires and I must have, what we can do at this stage is peel away the layers, one by one. Peel away the layer of, I don't have to have the smartest smartphone in the market. I don't have to have the biggest car in the market. I don't have to have the latest fashion trend, the brand name clothes. I don't have to have this, I don't have to have this. Be happy with what I have. Don't think about what I don't have. And what am I talking about? I think we've lost this small little idea, which some of you might think, what nonsense is she talking in this beautiful big hall? I think we've forgotten how to say enough. I think we've forgotten the virtue of enough. And unfortunately, all the development, all the upward and all the upwardly mobile ideas are get more, do better, get more, achieve higher. And what is happening? Where is enough? We've thrown away enough. And the idea, this little idea of enough, the virtue of enough is not new to Bhutan. It's there in our consciousness. It's there in our, when we talk. And for the Bhutanese, you know very well what I'm talking about, because we always say, we have to know when it's enough. And we've put that aside. We've buried it with layers of material. Now, how can I prove that this consciousness or this little idea was in the Bhutanese conscience? By telling you a little story. I told you I'm a storyteller. By telling you a little story, which I hope you won't find too childish. It may be a childish, silly story, but it brings the idea of enough. The idea of enough that brings in the happiness. And this story, I think, is a timeless, universal story. But somehow it's been cast away as a backward story. And I would like to bring it back to you. Remind the Bhutanese that we have this virtue of enough in us, and introduce others who are here to this idea, this little idea. Now this story can be exemplified or represented by none other than a folk story character whom we lovingly call, in my language we call him Grandfather Hele Hele or Mim Hele Hele. And I think in other parts of Bhutan he's known as Mim Age Sige Sige. And he's all over Bhutan. Where is he? I think he's not in Thimphu. I think he's left Thimphu. But he's suddenly in parts of Bhutan. Now what about this man? Okay, this man wasn't anybody remarkable. He wasn't good looking, he wasn't great, he wasn't rich, but he was in what we in Buddhism value. He didn't do very much, but he didn't harm anybody. Okay? He did no harm to anybody. So this man one day said, I have to do something myself. And he went, and the only thing he knew how to do was to dig a field. So he took his hoe, he began to dig a field, and he dug a field, and while he was digging in his path, he saw a big tree stump. Now, being Mim Hele Hele, he did not want to avoid it or take it the easy way. He dug this tree stump, which was a huge, gigantic tree stump. He dug it and dug it and dug it, and he was sweating and blistered and everything, but he dug it till it came out. And when it came out with a crash, he saw in the hole where the tree stump was something very special. He looked in, and what he saw was a huge turquoise. Am I saying it correctly? Is it turquoise?
Turquoise.
Yes, turquoise. So he picked up this turquoise. It made him extremely happy. So he picked it up, he threw down his hoe, and he began to walk and say, maybe somebody, I can do something with this. He walked on, and as he walked on, he met a man with a stallion, leading a stallion. And this man greeted him, because everybody knew Mim Hele Hele in that. Mim Hele Hele, where are you going? But Mim Hele Hele was so happy with what he had for the moment that he didn't reply simply saying, I'm going there. He sang, and I'm going to sing. I hope it'll make you happy, because I can't sing. He said, Mim Hele Hele se mingo, panchikon rachiche, rachipon yutitop, yutatam. He said, don't say Mim Hele Hele. Instead, listen to what I have to tell you. I dug a field, and I found a tree stump. I uprooted the tree stump. I found this turquoise. Now, would you like to exchange your my turquoise with your horse? And the man was shocked. His whole horse was quite old and quite tired. And here was this man offering him a huge piece of turquoise. Of course, Mim Hele Hele was so happy. He took the horse, gave him the turquoise, and walked on. And I don't want to tell the whole story because I only have very limited time. So he met a bull. He exchanged, the same thing happened, and each time the value of his exchange becomes, in our eyes, in our progressive eyes, less in value. But it brings Mim Hele Hele happier, makes him happier, happier, happy. And finally, he exchanges his, whatever he has, with a rooster. The rooster he takes under his arm and goes around happily, and then he meets, the day is just about to end, and he wants to go home, and he has the rooster under his arm. He's walking down, and he meets a man coming up the road, singing to his heart's content. And Mim Hele Hele said, don't say Mim Hele Hele, let me tell you what I did. And he tells everything 1, 2, 3. And he said, now, can you give me a song for this rooster? And the man said, of course. And he said, he taught him how to sing the song. Mim Hele Hele gave him the rooster, and Mim Hele walks away. At the end of the day, very, very happy, not an entrepreneur, not a good business sense, but a happy, happy man. And he went along singing, okay? And I know we are not supposed to advocate, we are not supposed to try to bring anyone to think the way you do, but I would like to challenge everybody today to go with a song in your heart and be happy with what you have and not look for what you don't have. And then maybe we can get a sense of happiness can make us actually happy. Thank you very much.